Welcome to the first keynote session on earthquake engineering. I would kindly request Associate Professor Dr. Giray Ozay to kindly take control of this session.
Thanks everyone, and welcome to today's meeting. Our keynote speaker in this session is Professor Dr. Yasin Fahshan. I am proud to introduce you to my classmate, Professor Dr. Yasin Fahshan. In 1992, he obtained a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Eastern Mediterranean University, and in 1994, a master's degree in the same department. In 1998, he completed his PhD at Boğaziçi University, Department of Civil Engineering. From 1998 to 2007, he worked as a faculty member at Boğaziçi University, Kandilli Observatory and Earthquake Research Institute, and from 2007 to 2019 at Gebze Technical University. Since 2020, he has been continuing his academic and research activities in the Department of Civil Engineering at Istanbul Technical University in the field of structural and earthquake engineering. Professor Fahshan, who has worked as a seismic engineering consultant on numerous pioneering engineering projects in Turkey and worldwide, has also served as a team leader in many research projects at the national and international levels. He has significant publications in refereed journals and conferences. Today, he will present us earthquake engineering perspective, lessons learned from the February 6, 2023 Kahramanmaraş earthquakes. Yes, Yasin Hocam, you can start your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Giray Hocam. First of all, it is my honor to be here in my undergraduate university and master degree university. I feel so proud to see this university become bigger and bigger and with very high level of education. Of course, I will start to thank my classmates and colleagues, Professor Dr. Özgür Eren and Professor Dr. Umut Türker and Irish Uygar, who assigned me as the first invited speaker for this conference. Today I will talk about very huge big quakes, in fact, which is happened in February last year, in this year. This earthquake, from my experience, maybe now I have 25-year experience in earthquake engineering, changed a lot of concepts, a lot of what we thought about that is correct, and we are learning a lot. I think it will be a big laboratory for the earthquake engineers and research, maybe for the next decades, not only years. First of all, my classmate, this is my, when I was in 1989 to 2003, when I was young, I come to this campus, this university. I feel so happy, and I never forget my nice memories and very nice community. Really, I went maybe other abroads and in different areas. Still, I feel that I'm proud to be part, at least maybe 4 years part of this community. Very nice community, very nice people, very nice attitudes. First of all, maybe the one in my age who can remember this Tevfik Terimcioğlu, he passed. Erdinç Soyar, Riza Erdil Tuncer, Tahir Şirik, I think he's here. Aziz Reşatoğlu, Mehmet Tevfik Bayar, Hürriye Bilsel, she's there, and Zaliha Nalbantoğlu. Also in my master's degree, we have some professors from Turkey, Nuray Denli Tokyay, Mustafa Tokyay, and one from, he was from Canada, really big professor. He affected all my life. thinking about mathematics, physics, really. He's Gonçalves Hussein. He taught us how to think about mathematics and physics together, and it was very part of me now, of my thinking, really. And there is a very nice Professor Mahmoud Sert and very late Ahmed Topçu. He is the professor for Giray Hoca. First of all, I will maybe, because not all of us is earthquake expert, therefore, I just give very small ideas. For earthquake engineer, how we are thinking. This is important. If we understand how we are thinking about the design and the philosophy, we can understand what happened in Kahramanmaraş earthquakes and what we should do in the future. What is the missed gaps in our experience there? First of all, earthquake happens really random and very rare. Therefore, we are learning a lot after each earthquake. Because if it is wind engineers, they have always winds. They can learn much more than earthquake engineering. Because one in maybe decades, we have big earthquakes. And we are trying our best to learn. But the earthquake itself, the rupture, they are changing randomly, that each earthquake taught us a lot of things. Therefore, the earthquake action is different, that it is random and rare. Therefore, we should include into the design something that we don't really know very well. And in other hands, we have very big side effects because of the soil, because of the valley effects. The soil, it changes the characteristic of the earthquake, characteristic of the ground motion. Even we have the same earthquake, the same motion, but it has different motion, different ground shaking according to different soils and different sites. But after Maraş earthquake, there is a lot that we should learn, that it is not only this. In general, we were thinking that only the rupture and the site has the most effect, but after that we learned that still we have another factors taking into account. Here, how we learn from the earthquake, we are measuring the acceleration. Especially when I teaching my students, I say, why it's acceleration? It is very simple, because it is a force. Force, it is Newton's second law, force equal mass multiplied the acceleration. Therefore, it is very simple rule. We need the acceleration. We don't care about the velocity too much, displacement too much, because as Newton's second rule, very simple one, F equal ma, okay. Therefore, but which acceleration? Okay. Therefore, as you see, we have different records. Each record has special characteristics. They are not the same. Even if we have the earthquake at the same location, the same fault, the ground motion, the acceleration will produce difference because of the rupture process during the earthquake. We cannot expect the same. Okay, we have different. Therefore, it is the simple rule that we have mass, we have acceleration. But which mass? The structural mass. Therefore, if you have very light structure, you have the force, the earthquake force will be less. But which acceleration? Is it the ground acceleration? This is the question, the basic question of the earthquake engineers. It is the ground acceleration? No, it is the acceleration of the mass itself. Therefore, it is the acceleration of the structure. Therefore, here, it is not only the ground shaking, it is the building shake itself. But the building has its own characteristic that we are designing. Therefore, we are the one who are decide the acceleration of our building. Okay. Therefore, we call it spectral acceleration. Maybe you heard a lot, spectral acceleration. It is the acceleration of the mass of the building. It is not the ground acceleration. Because, as you see, we have a building with different ground motion with different frequencies. What are the frequencies? It is the sinusoidal motion in 1 second. The left one, okay, maybe we have high frequencies. The right one, low frequency. Because in 1 second, maybe you have 1 cycle, but here in 1 second we have 10 cycles. If we have the same building, okay, and with different frequency, will we have the response is the same? Because the ground motion is not important. The important is the acceleration of our structure. Therefore, it is very famous, I think, video. I always show it in my slides. Therefore, as maybe engineering, just thinking that the highest buildings always have the highest acceleration. Maybe that's what we are thinking, but we will see whether it is true or not, whether our high-rise structure will have the most acceleration, the biggest acceleration or not. As we can see here in our video, maybe I will just make it to gain some times. Oh, sorry, we cannot gain some time. Okay. Anyway, therefore, each building, we represent it with a mass and stiffness. This is the columns. Therefore, we have mass and stiffness. And from this, we have its own period. We call it its own period. As you see, if we have motion, we can expect that, okay, as an engineer who does not know about the resonance, earthquake engineering, he is saying, okay, maybe the highest one will have the highest acceleration. Maybe this is what we are thinking. But we will, after this video, you will change your mind that there is something else in earthquake engineering that we need to consider. Okay, for the frequency of our motion, if our motion has low frequency, okay, that building will shake too much. It means it has the biggest acceleration. But if I change here the frequency, we will see what happened. Therefore, the frequency of the ground motion is the most important point here. As you see, okay, this is what we feel, that the highest structure will have the highest acceleration, the highest response. Therefore, in the earthquake, all the high-rise building will fall. This is what we, if we just thinking in a normal things. But now, if we change the frequency of our building, as you see, okay, the highest building has small vibration, and the medium one has the biggest one. Therefore, there is something else, we call it resonance. This is, therefore, the earthquake engineering is equal, structural dynamics is equal the resonance. We need to know the resonance phenomena to know what we are designing for. This is important for us to feel that it is not only the acceleration, it is the frequency of the motion, the frequency of the structure. Okay. Okay. I just maybe, if this is just fast, if we have low frequency, the highest building have a lot of damage, and thank God that our earthquake will not have so low frequency. Okay? As you see, okay, now changing the frequency, changing the response. This is important for our design. Okay. Therefore, the natural period of the vibration. The building itself, what is the period? It is dependent on its height, mass, and stiffness. and the ground motion itself. It is not only the peak acceleration, it is the frequency content, whether we have low frequency or high frequency in this ground motion. Therefore, this is very, very simple formula. I am teaching it for the students. If you want to make it very easy, our period of our building, 0.1 multiplied by number of story. It is very easy, and generally I use it for architectural students sometimes when I teach. It is just to have very, very good imagination. 0.1 number of stories. If you have, what is the meaning of it? If you have 20-story building, you have 2 seconds. If you pull it, it means it's vibration, free vibration, without any motion, 2 seconds. If it is 1-story building, 0.0 seconds. It means 0.0 seconds. Why it is important? Maybe because of the high-rise building, the people, saying, we feel the earthquake very large and very long. This is the question. Why? We have a damping, because if we don't have damping, the building will shake forever. Therefore, the damping, let us say 5%, we have 20 cycles according to the period of the structure. After the earthquake, if we have 50-story building, which 5 seconds, 5 multiplied by 20, you will still have 10-second feeling of the earthquake. 10 seconds, 100 seconds for high-rise building. But for very small buildings, it is just 2 seconds, then it will finish. This is the difference. But it does not mean that the high-rise buildings will have extra damages. No, we are designing everything accordingly, just to have here. Therefore, each building, depending on the period, has different response. Therefore, if we have the same earthquake record, for different buildings, each building, depending on its period, 0.1 multiplied number of stories, had different response. Therefore, this is what we are using for our design. Go to the period of the building, 3 seconds, this is the acceleration. Sorry, this is the acceleration. As you see, from our experience, from 0.2 to 8, also depend on the soil, this is the highest acceleration. Therefore, the building from 1 to 8 has the highest acceleration. But for longer, we have less acceleration. Why? Because the earthquake itself, it has its own frequency, its own period. Okay. And of course, it depends on the magnitude of the earthquake. I will not go very deep, otherwise I will spend 3 hours. Therefore, I will make. Another thing which is important, the earthquake performance-based design. Maybe most of us is hearing about it, because I don't design for the maximum acceleration. Why? Because sometimes it's too high. Sometimes the acceleration we expect at the spectral acceleration, 1G, 1.5G. What the meaning of 1.5G? I have my building, my building. Therefore, I have the spectral acceleration, the acceleration of my mass. It is 2G. It means the weight of the structure, double the weight of the structure. How can I make a lateral system, that it can withstand double of its weight? Therefore, sometimes it is impossible. Therefore, we make performance-based design. We allow damages. This is our concept. The concept after 1970, we allow some damages. We call it performance-based. I will take less acceleration. I will allow my building to damage, but of course, not collapse. This is no collapse. This is the idea. If we have acceleration more than what we expect, therefore, we can have some damages, but without collapse. Of course, the performance depends on the building itself, whether this is residential building or hospitals. Therefore, because the hospital, we need it as it is operational after some level of the earthquake. Therefore, we have different criteria. Therefore, the concept here, we introduce the concept of ductility. What the meaning of ductility? That after damage, it will not collapse. It will have plastic displacement. This is the meaning of it. For the poor ductility, which is, we will see it in the old building in Kahramanmaraş, the building will collapse immediately with little damages. But for high ductility, okay, with good ductility, it means after the damage, it will still stand and save the life of the people. This is the concept. Okay, we are reducing, okay, our linear. Sometimes we are divided it by 8. If it is 2G, we are not designed for 2G. Divide by 8. It is 0.4. Therefore, okay, the design we can design, but we allow some damages. Let us see here the spectrum, okay, for the elastic spectrum, but we are designed for the reduced one, which is really very reduced. Because here, the earthquake itself, it happens randomly, and it is very rare. We cannot design for the elastic one. Therefore, otherwise, we'll have, the cost will be too much. We have a lot of limitations. A lot of limitations. I will not go through them, but we have a lot of limitation of the displacement, limitation of second order effects, but the most important one here is we have strong column, weak beam. For earthquake design, your column should be strong. Your beam stronger than your beam. If something damage happened, should happen in your beams. Because if beams damage, you don't have collapse or mechanism. Here, as you see, we have mechanism here, we have collapse here. Therefore, if it is in the beams, still we have the stability. Okay. Therefore, this is here indeterminate system, and still it is safe. Here, okay, we have a problem, and we have fully collapse. Another thing which is very important, the detailing, because we need ductile member. The member should ductile. We use special hoop and the cross ties. Okay, this is we are using in Turkey. In Turkey, we after big earthquakes in 1939, Erzincan, we have new codes. Our codes, 2018 or after 1998, we have modern codes, modern ideas, modern codes. Even in 2018, we have very modern, similar to American codes, and better than European code. Okay. Therefore, we have a very nice code, but it's not the problem. It is not only the codes. Okay, the construction styles, this is very. We feel very sorry that the construction material and the construction style is compatible with our codes. Okay. Also, we have very big change in 1998. We had one map, one seismic map in 2007, and in European code they have only one seismic map, but now we have 4 maps, okay, 4 maps, or modern maps, which is compatible with American codes or new HERP. We have 4 levels, because you are not designing for the biggest earthquake. We also design for this is for the 50 years, 10% in 50 years. Therefore, we have 4 levels for different buildings and different codes. Also, the soil effects now taking in a very good matter. Okay. Now, for the Kahramanmaraş earthquake, what happened? The Kahramanmaraş earthquake, it is really very interesting. We had 2 earthquakes, very big one, in one day. One in the early morning, one in the afternoon. Very strange one. And I will show you that here we have, in USGS, we have 7.8. It is rarely happened in Turkey, 7.8. And the second one, 7.5. 7.5, really very huge. And we can, huge earthquake, and we can check, okay, the ground motion that We never imagined that we had such ground motion in our area. Another thing, this earthquake teach us that, okay, here the epicenter, we are saying the epicenter of the earthquake is the most important point. No. This earthquake taught us that, okay, the epicenter is in Pazarcık. I went to the Pazarcık. The biggest damages in Hatay, which is around 200 kilometers far from the epicenter. This is something unimaginable. Okay, this is a change of our thoughts. Okay, all these faults up to here has already damaged in one segment. All the geology, no one can expect that all of them will damage in one time. I work with many in Kandilli Observatory. They are saying maybe it can be 3 or 4 earthquakes will damage all this part. But in one, no one can imagine. Here, if you go even to the history, up to 1,000 years, you cannot find all these segments damaged in one time. Therefore, what happened, we don't know. Why? Therefore, the geologists will work on that. Why all these very big, around 300 kilometers rupture? Comparison to Kocaeli earthquake, 80 kilometers. Now it is 300 kilometer rupture at the same time. And as you see here, 100 years before, here in 1,000 years before, but all of them together never happened in the history, in the written history. Therefore, really, this earthquake, we cannot imagine, and we don't design for it. Okay. Here it is very, very strange, very strange that the first earthquake is in Pazarcık. It is not on the main fault. It is in very small fault. This is something strange because all the TV go to the, epicenter of the earthquake, which is Pazarcık. But the main damage not in Pazarcık. It is very small, let us say moderate fault damage here, but the biggest one from Hatay to Malatya, which is very, very big area. That we learn too much. This is something, the displacement. We have around here, around in this area, in Maraş out, 6 meters, slip, the displacement of the fault, which is really, really very, very large. But something until now we don't know. I ask a lot of geologists, geophysics, all my friends. Okay, even in Hatay, we don't have very large slip. We have the biggest acceleration there. I don't know why. This is, we need to work and to show. Another thing, this is, as you see, it is because it is small earthquakes or small faults rupture together, each one has different characteristics, which make this earthquake very, very difficult to analyze for the seismologists, for the engineers. Therefore, we need still a lot of time to work on it. This is the intensity map, This is the damages, which is, as you see here, in Hatay, you have the biggest damages in Hatay. Fully damaged building, 6,000 building. We learned it after 2 days. Because I work with AFAT, they have 2 systems. The first system, which I make it for them, the server was not working. They have another system about the satellite. The satellite was not working because the satellite images, we have very bad weather. Therefore, they cannot understand that there is a lot of damage in Hatay. After 2 days, after the weather become more clear, they bring the satellite image and they imagine how much we have damage here. Therefore, because all of the geologists have damaged only the north part, no one thought that the fault will go down up to the Hatay. This is one biggest that we should expect. They thought that it's going up to Malatya, But from here, going to Hatay, no one can imagine. Maybe after 2 weeks, USGS start to think, yes, this rupture. Not because of the ground motion, not because of the geologists. Therefore, this is very, very big thing that we are learning. Okay, this is, we can see here, for the old buildings, we have a lot of damages. Because performance-based design, we should apply. I don't want to show a lot, but I want to show here. This is what we are designing for. We need, okay, in this Gölbaşı, it is just in Adıyaman, just on the fault itself. As you see, this is what we expected. If we have make good design, we expected this. Okay. Even just, I went there, just 50 meters, we have this, the fault pass from here. Okay. Here, just the fault is passing through this Gölbaşı, but still 100 meters far from the fault, we have very nice building with have no damages. Okay, therefore, sometimes if we make good design, sometimes it saves our life. Here also about the rails, it is very strange. Why? Because it is parallel to the fault. Most of the photos are crossing the fault, but here parallel the fault because of the strains, compressional strains, which is very, very strange. We are learning a lot from that one. We went to the Chile, it is in Kahramanmaraş, it is exactly on the fault, on the maximum slip. Okay, it is exactly on the fault. You can see here 3 meters here. And if you go there, okay, it is just 3 meters in the fault, you can see the building there. If you make good design, still there is a hope. This is what I am trying. I don't want to show a lot of damages, but here just 10 meters from the fault. Okay. Here it is good, okay, as you see here, the columns gone, but the shear walls. If you consider good shear walls, it will save the lives. Okay. Here also in the Pazarcık, it is just in the center, as you see here, fully damaged and good behavior. It is not only the bad things, we learn from the good things. Here it is in the Antakya. I don't want to show a lot of photos here, fully damaged, especially in the center of the town, because all buildings, bad soil and valley effects. It is the only, because if you're building in the valleys, okay, the earthquake motion, okay, will start to make reflections and amplify. Therefore, the valley effects, we never consider it in our design, but I think after this earthquake, we need to consider it very seriously, because we are learning that, okay? Not only soil effects, but also only the valley effects, okay? Here also, one damages in Antakya. That area, maybe you all know about it. In Central Kahramanmaraş, this is the old photo. As you see, very old building, bad soil, 10 stories, 8 stories, which is the worst case for big earthquake. For the big earthquake, we have long period, low frequency, okay. Long period. It will affect the soil, amplification of the soil. The building itself have long period, 1 second. Therefore, we call it double resonance of our motion. Therefore, this is cause these photos. Okay. I just make maybe just 5 minutes about the ground motion. I make a little bit about what is happening there. Here, it is my own. Here, this is just very fast. This is our response spectrum. Okay, I show 2 of them. In Pazarcık itself here, as you see, for the low-story buildings, or for low-story, it is okay, but for the intermediates and high stories, our acceleration was more than what we expected. But as you see, we have different characteristics. If the station going up here, it is different from going down. As you see here, going up, we have less acceleration. Sorry. We have less acceleration, which is very strange. Okay, but going down, very high acceleration, as you see, especially for the long period. Very high acceleration, more than we expected. Okay. Therefore, it is not only the soil, it is not only because we consider, okay, we have soil effect, source to bath effects, magnitude, the same magnitude, but here maybe we call it near fault, or something happened there. Still we need to work on high, why we have very, very high acceleration in there. This is the ground acceleration, and I did very, very nice, maps here. It is done by myself. It is the percentage, how much the acceleration, the spectral acceleration, is greater than our design. This is the short period. It means for the building up to 6 stories, 8 stories. Okay, as you see, most of them, they are below the design. The other one, it is between the design and the, we call it maximum considerable earthquake. Just in few points, we have more than the maximum credible earthquake. But for the 1 second, which affects the building more than 8 stories, as you see, there is a lot. Okay, there is a lot. Very strange things if you go to Diyarbakir. It is a very big lessons, even a location far 2,270 kilometers far from the earthquake. We have around 300 building damage there. We always give example for Mexico City. Mexico City has 120 kilometers and has a damage. But now here 270 kilometers far, and we have a damage that we need to work on it. Therefore, this earthquake really very big. We can learn. Also here something, the significant duration, how you feel the earthquake. Sometimes you are saying, I am near the fault, it means I feel it longer. No. If you go far, you feel it more longer. Here, if you are just near the earthquake, up to 50 seconds you will feel it. But if you go far, you will feel up to 2 minutes. Therefore, the people in Adana or in this area, maybe the shaking was a little bit less, but they feel that 2 seconds shaking. We never expect that this in Turkey, but still, because when I selecting the earthquake, we are selecting 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Now we need to select 120 or more than that one. Now I will try to finish to make summary for lesson learned from Kahramanmaraş earthquake. The ground shaking acceleration can be more than we expected. We expect something depend on the previous experience, previous earthquake in all the world. But sometimes we can have more depend on the near field rupture process, because as you see here, multi-fold, multi-rupture, with the same distance, we have different characteristics. Therefore, we need to learn more. But as a lesson, as Mr. Rector said, that we need something here. What is the lessons to teach to the community? This is to the engineering designer. This is very important. Okay, side effects, okay, may change the ground motion more than we expect because of the valley effects. This is very earthquake design philosophy. We need to update it. Okay, we have very new buildings in some area in Turkey, but we have fully damaged. Why? Because of the construction. Therefore, from myself now, I'm thinking, okay, we need to change this rule, because not all the construction company work with honest and with good materials. Therefore, as a rules, we need to introduce new rules that it will also to account for the bad construction, especially in our country, in Turkey, that even for the construction errors, it will have no collapse. Okay. A proper configuration, shear wall. This is one of the solution. If we have proper configuration of the shear walls, you will save the lives. The last one, which is, I advise that the earthquake education in Turkey, it is not a must for most of the universities. Okay. Our engineers graduated without the knowledge of earthquake engineering. Very little knowledge in the concrete design. But for such a country with so very big earthquakes, we need to consider that, okay, we need to know earthquake engineering, also for architecture. Because our engineer now, I don't know, the nowadays engineering, we call it, they like to use the computer programs for the analysis and software, just enter what is coming from the architecture and just make the design. But I think the architecture should learn how to make better configuration for the earthquake resistant design. Maybe it can enhance our buildings performance. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that, okay, I was at the time, therefore, okay.
Thank you, Yasin Hocam, for your valuable presentation. Does anyone have any question? Yes, Serhan Hocam.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
From the earthquake with the design. Yeah, especially if you go to the central Adıyaman.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not good in color, so
Okay.
show it there for me. So what do you see in central Adıyaman?
I am very sorry that we have a lot of stations in Adıyaman, but none of them worked. None of them worked. We don't have records. This is also a very nice question, but I was curious about it. The records was not good, okay? Therefore, we cannot say anything. But in central Adıyaman, it looked like the Kahramanmaraş. It is in the valley, because I went to Adıyaman in the valley, and with the very, very bad soil, the buildings construction, they have the same, okay, 8 stories, okay. Therefore, they have a lot of amplification and valley effect there, and a lot of damages. We expect that high acceleration there. But strange there, if we go to them just on the mountain areas, the damage is very slight. Yes, for Gulbaşı we have, yes. For Gulbaşı it is strange because we have very bad soil, and in Gulbaşı we have a little bit about, we have soil liquefaction. Soil liquefaction, sometimes it helps the structure, you know, because, therefore, in Gulbaşı we went there, but we don't have record there.
Yes, any other question? I think no question. Yes, Mehmet Hocam.
Okay.
Can you go to again the response vectors which are from near to the Hatay?
Yes.
As we see that most of the stations have
Yes.
records a little bit high frequencies
Yes.
greater than the design spectrum, right?
Yes.
So now, and as you may know, I am from Hatay, from Iskender, and my house actually in Iskender, and during the earthquake I was there. And now many engineers and some people are to reject because of their bad design or because of their building designed by that engineers or constructed by them contractors, damaged, and many people
I don't know. This is something, but from my engineering point of view, if we follow the capacity-based design, okay, and if the acceleration is more than expected, your building still should stand and save the lives. Okay, damages difference. Okay, it can have damages, more damages than we expected, but fully collapse, it is not allowed in the capacity-based design. For the design, we have the rules from my experience that, okay, if we do very good design, very good detailing of the reinforcement, very good material, even with such big accelerations, your building will save the lives. But if three of them, one of them failed, whether you have bad design, bad construction, or bad construction material, or bad detailings, you have a problem. That's why I suggest that, okay, for the committee of the code, okay, to think about, okay, we have good rules. We are follow, okay, generally we have follow the American school for the earthquake design, but if we have construction problem, if we have detailing problems, what we should do. Therefore, I suggest maybe for Nuray Hoja, he is my professor, he is the one who wrote, he is writing the code. I tell them we should put some shear walls. Shear walls is very important. It is not only the ductility design, also the shear walls. If you have shear walls in good consideration, because we put the shear walls around the stairs, around the elevator at the middle of our buildings. I can show some photos that only that the stairs stand, but the others collapsed. Therefore, if we have good distribution of the shear walls, especially for the building higher than 6-story or 8 stories, maybe it can save the lives. But I think for small building up to 4 stories, if you have good construction, I think it can save our lives. Okay.
Okay. Any other question? Yes.
Yes. What can we do in these situations to improve the existing? Okay. Because this is very general topic, okay? Because how much and how it fails. Because fails of the bad materials, bad configurations, okay? Bad detailings, fail from the moment, from the shear. This is fed from the soil. Therefore, each building should have different strengthening techniques. It depends on the exact situation. We cannot saying that, okay, it is not a general topic. We need, if you go to the doctor, he will, okay, give you, okay, you have this illness, you have this cure. Therefore, this is the same, okay? We need to figure out what is the exact problem there.
Yes, last question, if any. Yes, Hocam.
Maybe off the base, maybe, but let me put it to you. Every earthquake has its own character, as far as I can see from your presentation. And from every earthquake, we do learn very different nature of the earthquake. From the very last earthquake in Turkey, the 2 earthquakes in Turkey, is the code, earthquake code of 2018, is it enough? Does it have all the measures to address every single thing that you have learned from this new earthquake? Or do you have to somehow make modifications in the code to address what you have learned in the earthquake?
Thank you. Very nice question. In general, our code in 2018, maybe it's comparable with ASCII or New Harp codes. It is modern code. But this earthquake will teach us still. We still don't configure what is happening there. We have a lot of lessons to learn. If for the ground motion, for the hazard map, we call it the hazard map, I think we need to update it, the hazard map. For the philosophy rules, okay, we are following these codes, but these codes account for the capacity and performance-based design, account for the collapse prevention, but for good materials, good construction, okay? But I think for our country, we need to put extra rules, okay, to prevent such collapse from the bad material and bad workmanship. Therefore, we need to, okay, there is a lot of companies here who testing, who make, but still we have problems in many cities. But I think maybe putting, especially for mid-rise and high-rise, maybe we need to put some shear walls, at least we call it, to ensure that there is no full collapse. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Yasin Hocam. Thank you, everyone, for attending. That brings us to the end of this session. Okay, see you in the next.